Hi guys, welcome to today's reading. Today's reading is all about what do people assume about you. So what do they think about you when they first meet you, the assumptions they might make, the first impressions they have, and the story they fill in for you in their head, the things they're assuming about you. We're going to get into all of it, and today we have a beautiful selection of sushi for you guys to choose from. So if it's your first time watching one of my readings, basically it's kind of like a pick a card reading, but I usually use food items instead of cards. So you're gonna go to the sushi pile that just keeps seeming to draw your attention in, the one that just keeps calling your name and that you kind of keep going back to in your head, or just seems like it's got an energetic pull to it towards you. That is going to be the piece of sushi with the message for you. And then as soon as you make up your mind, you can feel free to scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and in the description and jump right into your pile. I'm going to show you guys the numbers on each of the piles, and then I'm going to show you what they look like up close as well, in case you like to make your mind up that way. So this is going to be pile number 1. Then we have pile 2, pile 3, and pile 4. I am also going to show you guys what they look like up close. So this is pile number 1. So it's a piece of uni with a cucumber, super good looking. And then we have pile 2. I think that this one is tuna. Lots of detailing on the texture. It looks really good. And we have pile 3, and I honestly don't know what this is. If you guys know, as always, you can let me know in the comments. You guys always seem to know what the mystery items are. And pile number 4, and this one is shrimp. It looks really good. Lots of detailing on it. Yeah, they all look delicious and just good enough to eat. I also want to mention to you guys that if you like how I read tarot, you can also head on over to my Patreon to see all my additional readings. So you get access to about 40, almost 50 readings at this point, and new ones go up all the time. As soon as you sign up, you get access to all of them. There are readings about life, love, spirituality, career, relocation, all different kinds of topics, money readings, 18 plus readings, and you guys also suggest new readings and we vote on those, and then I will film the winners, so it's very interactive. There's a ton to do over on Patreon, and if you want to join our little party on Patreon, then just head down to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and join me over there. I would love to have you. And then also, if you guys would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me. You can have me do a love reading, career reading, just a general energy check-in, just channel messages, do astrology for you, pull tarot for you, obviously. You get to kind of pick what we do with your time. So if you'd like to get one of those, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a reading with me. So with all of that being, oh, and the link for my website, briarrosetarot.com, is in my description as well if you want to just click through on that. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you need more time to decide, you can totally feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need. But we're going to go ahead and jump into pile 1. Hey, pile 1. So if you guys picked this uni sushi, this is going to be your reading. Doesn't it look super good, realistic? I love the little cucumber. But anyways, guys, let's get into your cards. So you guys got the 9 of Cups, 3 of Wands, 9 of Swords reverse, Temperance, King of Pentacles, 7 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Cups. So I feel like the first thing people assume about you is that you're a nice person, that you're very sweet, caring, possibly highly creative, and kind of, I feel like a lot of people would have a crush on you, pile 1. I feel like a lot of people would see you in the street and kind of like daydream about you, or their imagination would start going because you just seem kind of like a character from a novel, is how I'm picking up on it. Kind of like Belle, or like a Disney princess vibe, or Cinderella or something. You know how they would always drift around and be really creative and kind of head in the clouds, but they're always really nice to animals and they're very sweet. That's the vibe I'm getting from you guys. And I feel like a lot of people honestly would like to date you. If you guys are a woman, they definitely see you as very feminine. That's coming through for sure. If you're a man, or a masculine energy. It might just be that you come off very nice, sweet, and charming. And I notice a lot of male sex symbols actually have a lot of the sweeter, like Libra, Pisces placements. So don't be put off either way. It definitely works for you guys. But I feel like so many people, especially if you're a feminine energy, you're coming off very feminine. You're coming off very attractive in that way. And a lot of people would love to date you, sweep you off your feet, and kind of like take care of you, because there's almost a vulnerability or a softness around you guys. You guys might literally have a soft face, like soft cheeks that are like, you know, bigger cheeks or something, or like big doe eyes. But I feel like it's almost like people want to protect you or take care of you or look after you, and they think of you as someone who's very kind, very open-hearted, someone that a lot of people would want to be around. There's also an energy that you guys come off optimistic. You come off positive and like someone who might be in a good mood a lot, or smiles a lot to like random people. Maybe you smile at like a kid on the street, or random you know, people you're passing, or maybe you're just super extra nice to like cashiers and staff. But I feel like a lot of people see you as like, oh, that person seems like a really nice person, and kind of sweet and vulnerable. But of course, whenever you have this energy, there always is the chance of you attracting people who might even be jealous of it, or might just want to take advantage of it because they're coming from a lower vibrational place and might mistake your kindness for weakness. Hey guys, I had to pause filming for a moment because I just realized I didn't have my microphone attached, but hopefully the audio is okay. But as I was saying, you might attract sometimes people who might even be negative because they're like, oh, that's an easy target, or that person is so nice, I can just be cruel to them or take advantage of them in some way. But I feel like a good person will definitely be drawn to this energy and will find it very soothing and calm. You guys might find that a lot of people, as soon as you meet them, they want to tell you about themselves. They want to tell you their life story. They might even kind of trauma dump on you and just tell you everything about them. And I feel like a lot of that is due to your very compassionate spirit. And you guys are very non-judgmental. You're very open-minded. You're the kind of person that I feel like someone could tell you anything and you would try to find something good about it, or you would try to empathize with them, and you would try to kind of relate and see why they did it. You are not that person, I think, that sticks to like really rigid beliefs of how a person is supposed to live their life or what a person is supposed to be like. So you might have a lot of different friends from different friend groups, like unconventional friends, or people who are from different cultures, or people who are just very like assorted different types of friends, you know. I feel like a lot of people see you and would like to be friends with you. If they're not friends with you, you might find people randomly like sit down next to you if there's like an empty seat. If you're in a restaurant, you know, and you're like by yourself at a table and the whole restaurant is empty, you might find people take the table right next to yours, and you're like, what the heck, I just want to be alone. But I feel like a lot of people are drawn to your kind of soothing energy. Honestly, I feel like you guys have a very positive, high vibrational energy, which is rare, and so a lot of people probably kind of crave that on a deep subconscious level and might just post up next to you to kind of drink in your energy field and try to be a part of it. Again, a lot of people see you as very positive, and they can kind of tell that even if you have been through stuff, you've come out the other side still with your optimism, still with your positive mindset, still trying to see the best in others and being very supportive of others. I also feel like people assume you're a very good friend and that you would do anything for almost anyone. Like people would assume you would make a great social worker, or you would make a great counselor or a therapist or something like that. And I feel like you have had, like I said, those instances of someone who you don't know and have never met before, just a random like taxi driver suddenly telling you all their fears and all their issues, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Like, I can't even take a taxi without someone telling me their life story. But I feel like that's because people know you're like a safe place, and you're so much kinder and more compassionate and warm than the average person. People assume that you are very high in demand for dating, and especially, like I said, if you're a feminine, they just assume that you would have like men lined up around the block for you. And if you're a masculine, they might be drawn to you in the way of like like wanting to take care of you. I feel like either way, whatever you are, people want to take care of you. People want to kind of look after you and like soothe you and help you because they see you as like a gentle, sweet soul that's kind of like an earth angel or something, not really of this planet, like too soft for this world kind of vibe. A lot of people, I think you're very sweet and charming, and there's like a hidden charm around you. They might also assume that kind of like you're very innocent, or you haven't been very you haven't gone on a lot of dates, or kind of you haven't been very sexually experienced or something like that. That might be another reason why they're very drawn to you, because I feel like people kind of see you as, like I said, innocent and naive. They don't necessarily realize that some of you guys might have gone through stuff, but you just continue to keep your pure heart. But it's not necessarily from lack of experience. But I feel like people sometimes fill in the blank and they're like, oh, they're probably very inexperienced, or they're just so sweet, they're so nice. People might also see you as a little bit quirky. You might dress in a way that's kind of quirky, or very, if you are, like I said, a woman, you might be very feminine dressing. Like you might wear, you know, very cute dresses and skirts and that kind of a thing. Or you might always wear some jewelry, and like some fun jewelry, like cherry earrings or something like that, that is kind of unique and special. And I don't feel like you guys necessarily follow the trends of everyone else. I'm seeing some very whimsical clothing, or even like something like cottagecore or light academia being your vibe. So someone who might even wear a lot of sweaters and kind of dresses in a very artistic way. And that's the other thing that's coming through very strongly, is I feel like people see you as very artistic. I'm also getting a mermaid vibe about you guys, by the way. Like kind of like if you don't like something, or someone's too harsh towards you, you would just kind of swim away from them. So definite Pisces vibes coming through as well. You guys, I feel, are highly intuitive and also very creative. So people might assume that you're some kind of an artist, or that you have a creative skill in that arena, that you were involved in art in some way, or you have some creative passions like making music or photography or writing or something like that. But I feel like you just don't come off like you're the typical 9-to-5 type person. Even if you do work that kind of a job, you just seem like you could write a book if you wanted to, or write a song if you wanted to, or that you were involved in art when you were younger. But there's something very creative about your energy and your vibe. So let me pull from this deck as well. I pre-pulled these but haven't seen them. So this is the Lady of the Mirror, Reflection, Non-Judgment, the Sacred Union, Partnership, Romance, the Ringmaster of Scrutiny, Discernment, Clear Vision, Details, the Sun Dancers, Joyful Activity, Celebration of Life, Abundance, and the Eagle King, the Big Picture, Angelic Help. So the Sacred Union is another thing that's coming through. People might see you as very romantic, or just that you have a romantic vibe about you. And by romantic vibe, I mean like kind of Taurus vibes, or just someone who's romantic in general. Not necessarily that you're like, I want a relationship and I'm desperate. Definitely not. That's not your vibe at all. But I feel like romantic in the sense that you're probably that kind of person that stops to smell the roses, or if someone got you, like if this is such a funny image that's coming to mind, but like at a restaurant, you know how sometimes they'll know it's your birthday or something and give you like a free cake. I feel like you would be the kind of person to like jump up and down, or be so touched by it, or be like, oh my God, thank you, and be very like emotional. And it's almost like you're romantic in the way you view life. You know, you're not someone who's just like by the book, or someone who's just very binary thinking, or thinking things just are what they are. I feel like, you know, if someone told you something about their, like a story for themselves of their life, you might start imagining things about them. If someone kind of flirted with you once, you might be the type to like start imagining like, maybe we'll run off together and go on vacation together, and we'll have this and we'll have that. Like, I just feel like you view life in a very romantic way, and I feel like that inspires romanticism in others. It makes other people think like, you know what, that is really cool. I got a cake on my birthday too, and I should take it more seriously, and I should appreciate it more. Because I'm thinking of like the romanticism movement, like the Hudson River School type of paintings, and romantic poems and that kind of a thing. Sadly, the word romantic kind of gets a negative connotation nowadays, but like back in the 1800s,
people really revered that movement, and that was considered to be very high art, and looking at the world in a romantic way was considered to be very intellectual. And so I feel like you guys have that kind of romantic vibe where maybe you're always reading, or you like to read poetry, or you like to listen to sad love songs, but there's kind of like a wistful, almost like Lana Del Rey vibes. You know what I mean? How when you look at Lana Del Rey's songs, sometimes she's talking about like really depressing stuff, but the way she writes it is like, it sounds so glamorous and it sounds so romantic. And then you think about it and you're like, wait a minute, this song is not romantic at all. But she just gives it a romantic vibe. She has a romantic Torian vibe in her whole music. So I feel like that's a vibe around you. And I do think that inspires others. Like I said, a lot of people fall in love with you quick, and that might be a really big part of it. You also come off very joyful and almost younger than your age. You guys might literally look younger than your age, but I feel like you come off as someone who is always like having fun, enjoying their life. Even if it's like the most boring function ever, you would find something fun to do. You would find something that is worth enjoying about it. Even if it was like the most boring corporate function, you might be the type to be like, well, let me go do shots at the open bar, and then maybe I can get everyone to do a conga line or something. Like, I feel like you just have a lighthearted quality, and you kind of inspire other people to let their guard down a little bit, because you guys seem so energetically open and also non-judgmental. So people might tell you afterwards like, oh my God, I can't believe we stayed up until 3 a.m. I haven't stayed up till 3 a.m. since I was like 17, and I was skipping school or something. I don't know, but I feel like you might really inspire them to let loose a little bit and not be so restrictive in how they view things, because you're very open-minded. But people can see that you're smart deep down, and I do feel like some of you guys even give off an intellectual vibe. Like I was saying, I could see you guys doing a light academia style or a cottagecore vibe. So you do seem smart and intelligent, even though you seem quite whimsical. People do assume that you seem like a smart person, and like you're creative, and like you have really interesting things to say. People might also assume that you even have like benefactors, or that you have always had some level of money and that's why you're able to be so kind of whimsical, or even that you have like a powerful boyfriend or girlfriend or something bankrolling your life. So especially a powerful man like the King of Pentacles. So they might assume that you have a partner who like takes care of everything for you and pays for everything for you, and that's why you're able to be so like lighthearted, and that you would be the type to attract that kind of a partner, because you are so attractive to so many people that they would be kind of lined up to date you. I'm kind of getting, I know this comes through in various readings, but like manic pixie dream girl vibes a little bit. You know how that archetype is super popular with men, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting as well here. So I feel like people would just think like, oh, of course she probably has a man paying for everything. I mean, look at her. Or maybe if you're a guy, like, oh, he probably has a girlfriend that like takes care of him and does everything for him, because look at him, he's so gorgeous. Like, he just seems like he has his pick of girls, or he probably has a beautiful girlfriend, something like that. So let's get into these cards that I pulled: Becoming Nobody, Confessions, Create and Progress, Perfect Moments, and Upside Down. So again, people might assume that you don't want attention. You might be the kind of person that kind of sits in the back of the class if you're in a classroom, or if you're at work, you kind of don't seem like you're trying to get attention. And I feel like because of that, you get more attention. Like, people are just really drawn to you. You seem like you're just not trying to do it, but you're the type of person that people would stare at in a crowded room, partially because you do have a cool sense of style and you express yourself through your style. And I feel like that's very important to a lot of you guys in this pile, is like having a sense of style that makes you feel good, aligns with your creative interests, and doesn't just feel like following the crowd. That's probably something that really matters to a lot of you guys. So I feel like because of that, people tend to look at you because the whole picture is just very attractive. Like you guys are physically attractive just in terms of your basic like facial bone structure and body and everything. And there's something so cute about you guys. Some of you guys in this pile might also be kind of short and petite or smaller. I don't know. But I'm getting like a just like, oh my God, so cute. I just want to like bop their nose kind of vibe. So people look at you just because of your innate physicality, but also because of how you adorn and dress yourself. I feel like that's another factor where people are just like, wow, that's a really cool outfit. You might find people ask you a lot where you bought something, or they might even talk about like, I bet you have a huge wardrobe, and maybe you're like, no, actually, and I don't buy like super expensive clothes. Like I got this at an estate sale, but that's the thing is like the way you put it together is so cool that people might just assume you have some like endless bank account that you can go shopping wherever or something like that. And a lot of people fantasize about spending time with you and about getting to be alone with you and getting to take you, like I feel like people are fantasizing about sweeping you off your feet and taking you on like a really nice vacation, or just getting to stare into your eyes because you're the kind of person that I feel like the conversation would be amazing, or people are assuming this, and that you would be so sweet and understanding and like an amazing cuddler as well. But again, with this confessions vibe, people just will tell you whatever is on their mind when it comes to you. You are just the kind of person that draws that out of them. A lot of people also see you as very cool, and like your sense of style is really interesting, and just generally the way you carry yourself, you just seem like kind of a cool, interesting person. You don't seem like a nerd, or like you're kind of like a square, I guess, or someone who is like super rule abiding type A. You seem very chill, very relaxed, and like someone who just seems cool and like easy to be around, and like you get along with a lot of people. Let me get some more cards for pile 1. What do people assume about pile 1? So we got healer of the ages, appreciation, and garden of the gate. So there's a strong healing energy around you guys as well. People perceive that you might have the ability to help them heal. They also perceive that you're very psychic with this goddess of the moon energy. There is a strong watery vibe I'm getting around you guys, so water sign energy, where you guys come off like you are someone that they could open up to, and maybe there would even be healing if they were to really tell you everything that's going on. You would kind of take care of them and mother them and have that moon energy, which is very like nurturing and loving and sweet and understanding, and kind of like mom energy. So you seem like that person that would maybe take the time out to like stand up for someone who is being bullied, or who would take the time to sit next to the kid in class who no one was wanting to talk to, or you would take the time out to like donate some money to someone who might be begging on the street or something like that. So I feel like a lot of people, you kind of might inspire them even to be kinder. But honestly, I feel like a lot of people like you when they first see you. They assume that you're a nice, good person, and they probably would want to get to know you more and see you as someone who has healing energies. And again, just see you as someone who's really chill. Spirit is emphasizing that to me, that you're very relaxed. You honestly have a very serene quality to your energy as well. You don't come off like someone who gets really stressed or harried or starts rushing around and like would be screaming at a waiter because they were taking too long. You just seem like someone who would be so understanding and who would offer a lot of grace to a lot of people. So yeah, it's generally a positive impression. Let's get some astro dice for pile 1, the Uni pile. What do people assume about pile 1? So we got the 7th house, Saturn, and we got Cancer. Oh, that's so funny because we were just talking about Cancer. And I was going to say, I also pick up on a strong Libra vibe with you guys as well. I mentioned Taurus, but of course, Libra is also ruled by Venus. So they're both the very romantic signs that are going to look at the world with a kind of rose-colored glasses with the romantic side. They're going to be the ones to appreciate like a beautiful view, or to appreciate a beautiful meal, or to appreciate a love letter, or write a really beautiful love letter, and just see the world in that way and not just miss out on it the way a lot of people do when they're rushing around. So we have Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer coming through. Then there's Saturn. So people might also see you as like like a sensitive soul who's gone through a lot of stuff. And also the thing about Saturn is whenever you learn a lesson with Saturn, you master it. So you come out of it the other side a lot stronger. And because of that, people might again see you as this healer with a lot of healing potential who could help them learn certain things, who could help them grow through certain things. You might find people come to you a lot for help or ask you about your opinion on different situations. I feel like a lot of people just think like pile one really knows what they're doing, or pile one could really help me, or I bet pile one would have something valuable to say about this, because you guys are deep thinkers and you're very insightful and you have, like I said, a psychic ability. So a lot of you are actually, whether you know it or not, using your psychic abilities to sometimes decipher different situations. And then of course we have that Cancer energy, which is super mothering, nurturing, very loving. And because of that, you guys might even attract younger partners or partners who really look up to you, partners that just think that like they can really depend on you and that you will kind of take care of them, but not in an overbearing or like dominant way, but in a like very sweet way. Like you would be the type to bake someone some muffins when they were feeling sick, or you would be the type to like really encourage your partner to go for that raise. But you're someone who like brings so much to the people around you that, again, I think so many people would want to date you because of this, or would want to be very close to you and be in your inner friend circle, because they're like, wow, pile one is just so lovely to everyone they're close to and such a giver. So yeah, I think that is what I have for you guys. Pile one, that's what people assume about you. Let me know how it resonates in the comments. I really love hearing your thoughts and reactions. So please let me know how it resonates. If you think you do fit this archetype and vibe, I would love to hear from you guys. And make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button if it did resonate with you, and turn the bell on for notifications so you can find out as soon as I post. And if you guys would like to see more of my readings, then head on over to my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I just posted one all about messages from your family and friends. So it's a platonic messages from them and what their opinion is of you. We get into all of that. So it's a really good one. And when you sign up, you get access to about 50 additional readings about life, love, spirituality, career, relocation, and so many different topics. We also vote on new topics and you guys suggest the votes, and so you guys get to really pick what I film over there. So if you would like to join, there's a lot to do. I'd love to have you join us. And the link for that is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. And like I said, as soon as you sign up, you get access to everything. So I hope I will see you guys over there. And if you guys would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me. Have me pull tarot, channel, do mediumship, do astrology for you, have it be a love reading, a year ahead reading, career reading, a mix, or have me just channel for you. But you get to really decide how it goes. And if you'd like to get that, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com. A link is in my description for that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you guys very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey pile two, so if you guys picked this tuna sushi, this is going to be your reading. It looks super red and fresh and just delicious. There's a lot of detail on the rice as well and on the texture of the fish, so it looks absolutely delicious. Anyways, let's get into your cards, guys. You guys got the Nine of Pentacles, Knight of Cups, Ten of Swords, the Empress, the Sun, Ace of Cups, Two of Wands, and the Moon. So with the Knight of Cups coming out, I feel like a lot of you guys are highly charming. There's also a vibe about some of you that you just seem like you're the life of the party. People might assume that you have a lot of friends, that you have a lot of romantic partners. If you would like to have that, that's very easy for you to achieve, that it's very easy for you to like go into a party or a group of strangers and feel really comfortable and make conversation with absolutely anyone, that you could probably talk to a total stranger. Like you might be in a cab and within 5 minutes minutes, the taxi driver and you are like laughing, and it's like you guys have known each other forever, and they're inviting you over to Thanksgiving at their place. Like there's just a vibe between of you where you could get along with anyone. You guys could probably talk to a total stranger and get them to really like you. A lot of people might even be discouraged from asking you out because of that. With this Ten of Swords, they might assume that you were just automatically like booked and busy. You have a lot of romantic offers, you have a lot of people who would like to date you, and a lot of people who see you as highly beautiful and highly attractive. So it's kind of like, why even bother? I'm automatically going to get shut down. There's no way that someone like pile 2 will be interested in dating someone like me. They probably have like this whole roster of people who are interested in them and people who want to be close to them and want to get to know them more, and there's just no way. So if sometimes you guys are like, yeah, like no one's asked me out in like months, that might be why. Is I feel like when you walk into a room, it's kind of like people are a little bit stunned, because there is also like a very star quality to you. You guys did get the sun, so honestly people might even think that you have something like a really active Instagram or a very big YouTube channel or a big TikTok or something like that, or that you're like an actress or a model or something, where people might think that you're not like an average person, or that you have some kind of a platform where you might show your face or you might use your charm, because you just seem like you are that level of attractiveness, and also that you have that energy about you, kind of like a star quality, or people being drawn to you, even if it's only within your high school, that you would be like the person that everyone has the crush on in high school, or even just at your workplace, that you would be the person that everyone talks about, like, oh, did you see what pile 2 wore? And like, pile 2 has a new boyfriend, you know how she is, she's always dating. Like there's this kind of exciting quality to you that I feel like a lot of people would like to be a part of, and a lot of people feel very drawn to, but at times they might kind of second guess you because of that, and it might make them think that like you're not as genuine, or that even if you are flirting with someone, they might be like, of course they're flirting with me, they probably flirt with everyone, or of course they're having like these beautiful sparkles in their eyes and they look super into me, and they're kind of flirting because they probably do that to everyone. Or of course we had a great conversation and I consider them a friend now, but they're probably that way with everyone, and I don't want to seem like a creep by asking them to hang out. People just see you as very charismatic, and people imagine that you have a lot of friends, that you have a very active social group, a very wide friend group. You might have been told things like that throughout your life, like, well, you're such an extrovert, or you have a lot of friends, or I know how you are, or something like that. But I feel like people are just assuming, because you are so like good at talking to people, talking to strangers, and you're very down to earth, you're very like easygoing. I feel like I don't feel like you have a lot of restrictions in your energy where you would be like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person, or oh, I can't believe you would mention that, I'm not comfortable. Like it feels like you're just like a go with the flow type of person, and someone could come up to you and start talking about anything, and even if for a moment you were like, what? Who are you? Why are you talking to me in the middle of this street? And you'd be like, okay, whatever. There's something very like relaxed about you on a certain level. Like I feel like you've kind of got an energy of like, I've seen it all, or I'm very open to everything. I'm very open to everyone. I'm not like scared of the world. I'm not closed off. I'm not super nervous. I'm a very like confident type of person. I feel very chill. I feel very relaxed. You guys might even be very well traveled because of that, or someone who has a lot of experience with like other cultures. Like you don't feel like you're just someone that has lived their whole life in the same place or around the same people. You seem like the kind of person who would seek out very new experiences, and if someone was like, hey, do you want to go skydiving? You'd be like, yeah, I'm down. Even if it's not something you like had on your bucket list, you might be like, sure, why not? Or if someone was like, do you want to travel to this country? You might be like, whatever, yeah, I'll pack my bags. I mean, it's cool with me. There's something very brave about your energy, and like excited, down for anything. So I feel like a lot of people are kind of intimidated by you, pile 2, and they see you as just like an energetic kind of go-getter, or someone that always has exciting things going on. I could see people within your friend group even like clicking to refresh your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever, just to see what you have going on, because I feel like they just think you have this glamorous, exciting life, and that you're always doing new things, you're always going new places. Like I said, kind of like booked and busy type of energy. And also that they think that you have a lot of romantic options, and that you might be dating around a lot, lot, or if you want to date around, you can, or if you want a serious relationship, you can get that like easy. You know, you're just good with that. You'd probably be great on a first date. You'd probably know how to flirt, know how to turn on the charm, know how to like keep the conversation running smoothly, even if like it was kind of, there was an awkward moment or something. You're just really good at that. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people see you as pretty popular and see you as very well liked. And also people might assume that you have a lot of money or that you're destined for success with that Nine of Pentacles. You might dress in a kind of bougie or luxurious way, or people might assume about you that you have a very expensive wardrobe, even if you got everything from Shine, or you got you know, everything from like garage sales or like Goodwill or something. I feel like you just carry it off in a way that's very luxe and very high end. And so people just assume with your energy that if you don't have money now, that you certainly will in the future, and probably that you already have some level of wealth and money, because I feel like a lot of you guys are very well put together, or they might even assume that you spent a lot of money on your appearance when you didn't. Like you might have people who have asked you something like, did you get a nose job or did you get lip injections? This is what's coming to mind suddenly. Or like, or you know, assuming that you had like a bunch of beauty treatments when you didn't, or you just, maybe you do have those things, but I feel like there's like a high end quality to you where you look like someone who is very put together, and you look like someone who is kind of expensive and like very, like I said, high end, or people who have the time and the money to spend on themselves, the time and the money and the energy to kind of look after themselves and maybe get massages and facials, or work out at a really nice gym with a trainer or something like that. Eat well, that kind of a thing. So yeah, I think a lot of people think of you very highly, but again, there's that intimidation factor where I could easily see this bleeding into some jealousy and people kind of resenting the fact that you guys are so put together and that you guys kind of have that star quality. So there might be someone also at your workplace or something like that that kind of feels nasty about this. I'm not saying specifically as a reading, but I could see this turning into that very easily. In fact, it might have been a pattern for you within friend groups or workplaces where there was someone who would suddenly develop jealousy towards you or just be really shady and standoffish to you for no reason. And I'm hearing because you have this quality, I'm hearing that girl. So maybe some of you guys are that girl or that guy where everyone wants to talk to you, everyone wants to get to know you, and they might have assumed that you have a really easy life because of it. In fact, someone might assume, I know this is kind of dark, but they might even assume that you were like a bully in high school or something, even though I'm definitely not saying that, and I'm sure that's not the case. But they might assume that you had such a high social status that you were like the queen bee or the head guy, and that, you know, oh, like she probably would have bullied me back in the day, and she probably would have been really mean to someone like me. She probably thinks she's better than me. You know, that kind of a thing where I feel like maybe their unhealed emotional trauma they might project that on you, or their feeling of not being good enough, they might project that on you and kind of resent you for the kind of style and fashion and panache that you give off and how effortlessly easy it is. People might also get really competitive with you about romantic relationships and kind of resent the fact that I feel like if you really do want to turn on the charm, you can like charm whoever. You could walk into a bar, and if you liked a guy or liked a girl, you could know how to like get them to come over, or maybe like make eye contact with them, or if they came up to you, you'd know what to start saying and how to turn on your flirt and like how to get things going. And just you get that attention easily, even if no one came up to you. A lot of people would be staring and noticing you. So you might have jealous friends that sometimes like maybe they got all dressed up to go out, but you attract the energy and the attention effortlessly, and so they're a little resentful of it. So that might have been a pattern for you guys in your life. So we also got, I haven't read these cards yet, the Horse King, Assistance, Control, the Dream Walker, Dreams, the Collective Good, illusions, the desert prince, survival, false promises, and the web weaver, synchronicity, divine intelligence, and cause and effect. So there's also a vibe and an energy about you guys that you seem like a connector. Again, you seem like someone who has a really wide friend group that would know a lot of people. And so people might also kind of almost depend on you or want you to introduce them to people. They might just assume that you kind of know everyone in town, or that you're that kind of person that if someone was like, "Oh, I need to hire a plumber," you'd be like, "Oh, I know a plumber," or "I know a contractor," or "I know, oh, my friend runs a flower shop. So, yeah, let me give you her number." Like you're that kind of person that just knows a lot and does everything really well. You probably also are assumed to have very high standards. Like you wouldn't be comfortable just hiring a random person, but you would pay extra to go to get the best of the best, and that you can be kind of exacting in that sense. Like you're that person who would, like I said, be fine paying more. I'm seeing someone like upgrading their hotel room. So maybe like someone gives them a regular hotel room at the bottom of the hotel, with a view over the street, and then they pay to upgrade to like a top floor room with a view of like the beach or whatever, the mountains. And they're like, no, no, I can't have like that bottom level room. I need the best of the best. So people might assume that, and you might even intimidate like waiters and stuff if you walk in, because they're like, oh gosh, I know pile 2 is going to be high maintenance. I know pile 2 is going to demand the best. So let me get my A game going and let me make sure that I'm as attentive as possible. Or they might even resent you or sometimes give you bad service because of that, because they're like, oh gosh, I know this one's going to be really difficult, or like, oh, they probably think they're a princess. So again, depending on how someone's okay with themselves and their own energies, they might react to you in a very positive way or in a very negative way. But a lot of people find you very dreamy. Honestly, I feel like your fashion is very like iconic, and there's something kind of iconic about your vibe. Like I'm seeing Marilyn Monroe and people like that. So someone who is kind of a sex symbol, or someone who is kind of like star energy. Like I know Robert Greene has his different archetypes of seduction, and like there's lots of different ones, like the natural, that's kind of like disarmingly natural and sweet and down to earth, or there's like the ingenue who seems kind of young and naive and innocent. But then the star is like a very powerful one, and that's the one that like commands the most attention, and it looks very over the top and seems to like stop traffic and have everyone turn their heads to see them when they walk in. I feel like that's something people assume about you, is that you just have that quality. And you might sometimes have people almost react hostile to you because of that. Like I'm seeing a guy being like, oh yeah, she thinks she can manipulate men, well she's not going to manipulate me, and being like really standoffish to a woman for no reason, even though she didn't really do anything, just because he's like, I'm going to prove to her that she's not that great. So again, with the resentment and sometimes rubbing people the wrong way because of their own insecurities, and because maybe they don't feel good enough, or they're just assuming this whole backstory to you. They're assuming this negative like bully or user or whatever that's totally coming out of their own head. But people create these kind of fantasies around you that are like almost archetypal. Like you guys have a kind of Lilith vibe. People might assume also you're overly independent in relationships, or impossible to tie down. Like what's even the point of trying to date pile 2, because they're probably not even going to say yes. They're too independent. They're always doing their own thing. They don't even need a partner. They just seem like they just do everything for themselves. That kind of a vibe. And I love that those birds are chirping. So I feel like that's extra confirmation. You guys might also have a very pleasant sounding voice. And that's something people are also drawn to. Let's get some more cards. So we got On Fire, Goal Setting, Boss Up, and Crystal Clear. So again, with this heavy like go-getter energy, success energy around you, people just assume that you will be successful if you're not already successful, and you seem like a hustler. You almost seem like the kind of person who would have like an agenda. Or I'm getting Elle Woods vibes. I love when she comes through in these readings. I feel like a lot of you guys must fit that archetype, because I know she's come through a few times. And so I feel like a lot of you guys have that kind of like put together, go getter, feminine, but I'm gonna like get my bag and money and I'm going to succeed at my business type energy. And of course, if you're a guy, you can totally fit that as well. You might be like, I don't know, not to say her male counterpart is Warner, but you know, he's very good looking as well. But then with like her same go-getter energy. So maybe you're a good looking guy. Again, I feel like a lot of people are intimidated just by your physicality and just your innate looks, like how you look. And also I keep seeing Jennifer Coolidge, especially like her character in The White Lotus, how she's just like this fabulous older woman that's going around in like these beautiful flowy dresses, and she stays at the best resorts, and she's, you know, she just kind of has this like glamour quality to her in all her roles, but definitely in that role she's very glamorous. And I feel like there's something like that. And you know, even though she's like in a relationship and she's kind of like moping about love for some of the episodes, she still just seems very independent. Like you really feel like at the end of the day, she's someone that like could be fine on her own. And even if she has a man, she doesn't really need one, you know? So I feel like sometimes people might not step to you because of that, because they're like, oh, they're fine on their own, or they're too independent, or they wouldn't even open up to me in the way I want, and I want this deep relationship, and I want someone to like depend on me and really need me. And honestly, some people might think of you as a bit of a player, or someone that's just always dating someone new, that's someone that's always like, you know, off to different relationships, traveling a lot, kind of hard to get a hold of, glamorous in that way, like always has a new activity. They might assume that you do travel a lot, or you have that kind of glamorous lifestyle where that's an option for you. But they might also assume that you're running a lot of businesses, or that you're someone who is very successful monetarily, and that you make a very high income, and that again, you would shop at like the best of the best type places. I'm hearing smell good. So people might assume that you smell good, or wear a very high-end perfume, or have like the best of the best body wash and lotion, so that you're just always smelling super good. But there is this like boss energy, definite fire sign energy coming through. So Leo, Sagittarius, Aries, like definitely a fiery girl energy, where there's this exciting, hard to get quality, hard to pin them down. You know, they always have something going on in their life. They always have a new goal, a new objective, a fun, exciting thing. They're very also just fun to be around. Like they're the life of the party. They tend to be kind of chaotic in, like I said, I love it, a fun way, where they will like start drama for no reason, or they will, you know, do something wild and crazy for no reason. And if you tell them they can't do something, they're going to prove you wrong, and they're going to do it anyway. So yeah, I feel like people are intimidated by you because of this strong, fiery, like, dare me, I'm gonna do it type energy. And I do feel like you are the type where if someone dared you, you'd be like, okay, I'm down. Like again, I mentioned before when this guy took me not skydiving, bungee jumping on a first date, and I was like, I don't really want to go, but because I felt like he kind of was thinking I might chicken out, I was like, okay, strap me in. I didn't know I wanted to really. It's not like I was like, oh, I want to wake up today and go bungee jumping, because he wouldn't tell me where we were going. But then I was like, you know what? I am not going to be the one to be like, I can't go. So I just did it. I feel like that's totally you guys. Like if someone dared you to do it, or someone was like, I bet they're gonna like cry, you'd be like, no, let me show you who's the boss here. So yeah, that makes you very exciting, kind of feisty energy about you guys. So let's get some of these cards. What do people assume about pile 2 spirit? Man holding a heart. Yeah, like I said, people are assuming you have a lot of suitors, that you have a lot of people who want to date you. But you know what? They can also see that you're very smart. They also can see that you guys are possibly highly educated, or like I said, just a smart person, smart with money, smart with like life in general, and that you're sharp. Like I feel like someone, even though you might come off kind of bougie, they wouldn't try to necessarily like scam you out of money, or be like, oh, look, that's a rich, easy target. You know what? Let's just tell her. Like, you know what? They're showing me the scene from Legally Blonde. I love that scene. I love all the scenes from that movie, but where they come up to her and they're like, have you seen this? We just got it in. And she's like, oh, is that low viscosity rayon? And she's like, it sure is one of a kind. And then she says, oh, well, I actually saw that on the clearance rack 6 months ago. So if you're trying to sell it for full price, you picked the wrong girl. And low viscosity rayon, like, you can't do a double cross stitch on low viscosity rayon. And she just knows exactly, she knows, she's so smart. So this lady was like another dumb rich girl, and then she like just completely like stomps her out with her knowledge. Like, I feel like people can tell that from you. They're like, you know what, let me not mess with this person, even if they are like rolling in cash and they might be an easy target. Let me give them some respect, because I don't want to see them get mad. And they're very strong-willed, and they are smart and quick. They're not just like a dumb person who happens to have some cash. Let me also pull the app. But again, people really just assume you have so many suitors. That's a major thing coming through with you guys. Let's get some astro dice for pile 2 and what people assume about them. So we got the 6th house, we got Neptune, and we got Cancer. So 6th house is Virgo, then we have Neptune, Pisces, and then we have Cancer. So Virgo, Pisces, Cancer. And so what's interesting with me is the line is coming up between Virgo and Pisces, which is a axis of perfection, even though people wouldn't necessarily expect that of Pisces, because we're thought of as being kind of like loosey-goosey, just whatever. But actually Pisces can be perfectionist too, but more so in like the spiritual realm or in the kindness. Like one thing to really annoy a Pisces, just a little spoiler, is to do something that's like we consider really nasty and mean. Like that will turn off a Pisces like nothing else. And Virgo is kind of on the physical realm of that. So Virgo hates imperfection with a lot of different things, with their space or with like a project. They're generally in the task of perfecting things and in the task of getting things as pure as possible, which is what Pisces and Virgo have in common. And so I feel like, again, there's this very exacting high standards quality about you guys where, like I said, even though you have money, you are that, or people are assuming this, you are that person that would make sure it's done right. So, you know, this might work well for you when you go on like job interviews and stuff. People just might assume you would do a great job and that you would be the kind of person who would, like, if they hired you, you would be working in the office until like 9 p.m. to get it right. And you would be the kind of person who would like do everything perfect. And you're just not like a dumb person. You know, you're someone who's not inefficient or kind of clown-like or a mess. You're someone who is going to make sure it's perfect, period, with every aspect of your life. And, you know, I do want to mention, since we're getting a lot of water energy, Pisces and Cancer, they're both very dreamy. They're both highly intuitive. And they're both energies that are very creative and, you know, pretty fashion forward, I would say, as well, because of course water is creativity, and creativity is how we adorn ourselves, one of the ways. And there is something kind of dreamy about Pisces Neptune energy. So yeah, I feel like people see you as like this very creative, kind of doll-like, well put together. The way you dress is really nice. And there's something kind of like a storybook character about you guys where you just seem very different, very unusual, and a lot of fun. Like, I feel like people will remember you after they met you, even if they only met you really quick or they only saw you from across a crowded room. They would think of you like, who is that? There might also be an energy of you guys having like a lot of money at a young age, or just being perceived as that. Like, it might be like, wait, how is that person? They look really young. How are they able to afford staying at this resort? Or how are they able to afford, they're not even traveling with a man, but they just walked out of this really high-end store with a bunch of bags. So like, did they pay for that themselves? You know, some of the assumptions people make about money or who can have money, you might be the kind of person who's like bucking those trends, or being like, no, I got it for myself. I didn't have to use my sexuality, even though it is there, but I did it for me, you know? So yeah, I feel like there's something that kind of fascinates people about you, and they think of you afterwards. They might not show you, because I think a lot of people get intimidated by you and kind of like prickly around you because they feel insecure. but they definitely think about you and you make quite the impression. So anyways, guys, I really hope it resonated. Let me know how it did in the comments. I'm always really curious to hear how it resonates for you. So let me know your thoughts, and if you feel like you fit this archetype, let me know. Also, make sure to hit the like button, give it a thumbs up if it did resonate with you, and make sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on. Hit the bell so you can find out as soon as I post. And if you guys would like to see more of my readings, then head on over to my Patreon, where I post all my additional readings. When you sign up, you get access to about 50 additional readings about so many different topics: life, love, spirituality, career, relocation, money, and 18 plus readings. So many different readings. I just posted one all about what your family and friends think of you. So messages from family members or friends, we just let whoever come through, and we got some really great messages. But there's a ton of additional readings on all kinds of subjects. We also vote. You guys suggest the new readings and then we vote on those. So it's very interactive and there's a lot to do over on Patreon. I really hope you guys will join us, and then I get to see you there. And if you want to join, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the description and in the comments as well. And if you guys would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a half hour or a full hour session with me. I may pull tarot for you, do astrology, channel mediumship. You can get a year ahead reading, love reading, career reading, just open channeling. You get to really pick the questions you ask and the things we focus on. So if you'd like to get one of those, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a session with me. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will see you guys very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey, pile three. So if you guys picked this yellow sushi, this is going to be your reading. I don't know what fish this could be, but if you guys know, drop it in the comments. You guys are always really good at identifying everything, but it looks really good, nice and fresh and delicious. Anyways, guys, let's get into your cards. So you guys got the Knight of Wands, King of Swords, Knight of Swords, Three of Pentacles, Four of Swords, the Hierophant, and the Nine of Pentacles. So a lot of you guys are perceived as being really fiery. You guys might be perceived as someone who's very creative, has a lot of creative pursuits, businesses. I feel like a lot of people might assume you're like an entrepreneur or someone who is a go-getter, who has a very packed schedule and is always like rushing around doing things. You guys might also be very physically fit, or people might just assume that you like work out and are strong and like have good muscle content or something. I feel like honestly a lot of people might be intimidated by you when they first meet you, and they might see you as someone who is like a hustler, or who is destined for success, or someone who probably has 5 different businesses that they're running at the same time and like a bunch of employees working underneath them, and is just like booked and busy as it can get. And also as someone who's very intelligent, someone who probably is not easy to fool. So someone who would probably know if like you told them something costs a certain amount and then you change the amount on the bill even by a few cents. You guys would be that kind of person who could do the mental math in your head really quick and be like, no, that's not what we agreed to. So I feel like, yeah, a lot of people are intimidated by you and might perceive you as very strong, very intelligent, and just someone that I feel like they almost might give a wide berth to. So they might not see you as like this warm and cuddly person that they want to like get to know, and like they seem so sweet and cool, but kind of like the opposite, like, oh my god, I'm intimidated by pile 3, like what are they going to say? What are they going to think of me? What if they don't like me? And they do see you as someone who's like very quick-witted, very good in conversation or in an argument. You would know exactly what to say, and you would be someone who's like tough and who wouldn't necessarily back down from a challenge. I think they see you guys as someone who's quite brave, and someone who probably is not someone you just want to mess with for no reason. Like you have that kind of stand your ground attitude, or someone who isn't going to be afraid of a lot of different situations, but will actually be sticking to your guns, so to speak, sticking to your morals, whatever they are, and someone who has a lot of authority, so that if you're not like leading a business now or at a very high position in your business, that you will be in the future. People might literally assume that you're like the boss when you come in. They might be like, "Oh, like, are you the manager?" And you're like, "No, I'm just like a lowly person working here." Or, "Are you like do you own this company?" And you're like, "No, why would you think that?" But I feel like it's because you have a natural air of authority to you, and you have a natural vibe around you, like someone who knows what they're doing, is very competent, is very smart, is someone that I think a lot of people rely on you. And it's almost like you might be the kind of person that people come to if there's a crisis. Like, I'm seeing a scenario in my head of like someone being in a medical issue on a plane, and the flight attendant crying out like, "Is there a doctor on board?" And people might like turn to you and be like, are you a doctor? And you're like, "No, what the heck is going on?" Like, why would you think I'm a doctor? But I feel like you are competent, so you might be that person where even if you aren't a doctor, you would know CPR randomly, or you would have some random information about like, "Oh, that looks like they're suffering from this medical condition, and maybe we should apply this, we should give them this," and they do, and it works. I feel like you guys are just like smart and very cool headed under pressure. So I wouldn't be surprised if like something went wrong and people like looked at you or were like, "What do you think we should do?" And you automatically became like the leader of the group. What I'm thinking of is like, I love the show I Survived, and they talk about, crazy events that people survive and give eyewitness accounts. It's a really good show. If you've never seen it, you can watch the old episodes on like YouTube and stuff sometimes. But, sometimes if there's like a mass event, like something that's happening to a large group, like, I don't know, someone's ship sinking, or like a boat sinking, or a group of people that get lost on like a mountain in a snowstorm or something like that, there's usually someone who like emerges as the leader that everyone turns to and kind of like listens to. That's just like what tends to happen. And I feel like you guys would often be that person that you just be like, "Okay, I guess I'm in charge now. Like, I didn't really ask for this, but okay, yeah, I guess I'll tell everyone what to do, because honestly, I am very competent and no one else seems to be smart enough to figure it out the way I can." So I feel like you might have that happen a lot, and sometimes it might be a bit of an energetic drain. You might even have people coming up to you that you don't know that well, telling you their problems or asking for advice, asking for help, like being like, you just met someone and suddenly they're talking about like, "My daughter is, she has this issue. She at her job, blah, blah, blah is happening." And you're like, "Why are you telling me?" But in a way, you're like, "Well, I would give you this advice." And like, people are really grateful to you. But you're like, "Why are people constantly asking me this stuff? Like, I don't get it. Why do people turn to me for help?" Or your friends might even ask you out of pocket stuff. Like, they might ask you for relationship advice that's really intense, or even like sex advice or something, where you're like, what is it about me that makes you guys think I'm an expert on these subjects? This is so odd. But I feel like a lot of people just feel like you're competent and smart and quick, and you are a good thinker. You are a very deep thinker and a quick learner. Like, I feel like there is a lot of truth to it. Like, you're the kind of person that could probably like untie a knot really quickly, or tinker with like a bicycle. Like, even if you'd never read a manual, you could probably, if you had to, like tinker around with it with like a screwdriver and figure out how to fix it. Even if you were like, "I don't know a thing about it," you have a quick brain, and people think of you as very smart, and they assume that you know what you're doing. I feel like a lot of you guys might have a large vocabulary, or just be someone that seems like educated. People might assume that you're highly educated, or that you work a very high-end job. Even if you're not making that much money, or you don't have that high of a position, people just assume when they meet you that you are, or that you're going to. You might have people ask you random questions like, "Oh, so did you graduate law school?" And again, you're just like, "No." So I feel like a lot of these assumptions are kind of having to do with like your intellectual capacity and your job abilities, like you guys having a higher level career or something like that. You guys also seem like you would be very chill under pressure, and someone that would just not overreact. Like with the Four of Swords, I feel like you're the kind of person that might be very difficult to stress out. Some of you guys might go the opposite direction where you are someone who would like tell someone off easily, but I feel like a lot of you guys actually like if, because Mars is exalted in Capricorn, a calmer energy, but Capricorn is all about eventually getting to the task, and Capricorn sun is coming through as well. But like, where it's not necessarily the person screaming the loudest or charging forward as fast as they can. Sometimes it's that slow and steady progress that is like Capricorn energy. And so I feel like you guys are that type of person that you wouldn't necessarily fly off the handle or be like, let's do it right now. No, let's do it. Like, you would be the kind of person that would like take your time and blah, 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 but you get it done really, really well. So a lot of people also really respect you. They might also assume you're close to your family, or that you're involved in some kind of like very like prominent institution, or that there's a traditional side to you where you're not the type who's gonna like sell all your things and move to Bali for a year and just go crazy. Like, you're someone who like takes your obligations really seriously, and someone who people can respect and depend on and really turn to when they need help. That you would like probably be very loyal to the people around you and kind of give the shirt off your back to like your loved ones if they needed it. You are someone they could call if they were in crisis, or if they were in a disaster situation. You would be the first person they probably think of and be like, okay, pile 2 can handle this. I know pile 2 is dependable, and they have an inner strength. They have this inner core of strength around them. But again, also that you might be a little bit of a hustler, and that you could have a lot of creative projects going on. Like, they might assume that like just because you have a 9 to 5 or something, but that you're also the kind of person who would have a side business or a side hustle, or who would have like a rental property they rent out for extra money, or would have multiple businesses, multiple sources of income. Because I feel like you guys are interested in a lot of different topics. They might also assume you're very intelligent in that aspect. Like, you'd be the kind of person who would do really well on like trivia night or at Jeopardy or something like that, and you just have a lot of random bits of knowledge about random things that people are like, how do you know this? And you're like, oh, I randomly watched a documentary about this on YouTube, like on like whale mating rituals, and so I know I know about that. And people are like, okay, like, how do you know all this information? This is weird. But I feel like people just assume you know a lot. Let's get some more cards. So we got the Swan Queen. I haven't seen these, by the way. The Swan Queen: transformation, intuition, patience. The Eagle King: the big picture, angelic help. The Arrow Master: hitting the mark, intention, detachment. The Camel Boy: small steps, asking for help. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people might come to you asking for help because there is this Eagle King vibe. The Eagle King, I think of the Eagle King as someone who like soars above the rest. It's kind of untouchable in that sense. And so I do feel like a lot of people might be intimidated by your energy. And like, when you walk into a room, or when someone's first getting to know you, they might even think that you're very stoic or kind of unemotional, or even standoffish. Like, oh, I don't want to talk to pile 3. Like, you might have had your friends tell you that, like, that person's really intimidated by you, or you're like, why is like Sarah always weird around me? Like, she never makes eye contact. She's always cool with everyone else, but she barely talks to me. Does she hate me? And then they're like, no, she thinks you hate her. Like, she's brought this up to me a bunch, that like she thinks you don't like her because you never talk to her or something. And you're like, yeah, well, like, I'm an introvert or something, or I mean, I'm chilling at the party. I'm not avoiding her, but I feel like people get intimidated by you. You might even have resting witch face, where people might, you might just have this very stoic, tough look. It's giving Capricorn, Scorpio vibes, but people might think that when they first met you, or something like Pluto conjunct the ascendant, or Saturn conjunct the ascendant, but they might, when they first meet you, think you're mean or you're tough, or if you're just walking down the street, be like, whoa, okay, I'm not going to mess with that person. Some of you guys might even dress in dark colors or something like that. And they might assume you have had a tough background, or that you have been in like street fights, or not street fights, but like like physical fights, you know, or that you can really handle yourself. You're like not one to be messed with. And so, yeah, I feel like some people might be intimidated by this, or they might think like, oh, really? So I guess pile three is glaring at me all night and they really don't like me. They didn't even come up and talk to me once. And you're just not even trying to glare. You're not even doing it on purpose at all. And you're being, you thought, friendly, but there's an intensity about you. I feel like you guys might have piercing eye contact sometimes. So when you do look at someone, they're like, oh my God, they're looking into my soul. Or yeah, there's like a very intimidating kind of like harsh quality to you at times. You also might be brutally honest with people sometimes. So there might be a strong like Scorpio Mercury or Scorpio Mars or a Capricorn Mercury, where sometimes you might say things that come off as overly harsh, or you might have Pluto aspecting your Mercury or Saturn aspecting your Mercury, especially like an opposition or a square or something like that, that might make when you speak, like you just cut to the chase and you're not giving a bunch of, or Mars, could be Mars as well, of course, or Aries energy, but where you're not trying to beat around the bush and be like super sweet and be like, so Sarah, I loved your project, but I just wanted to make a few tweaks. But you're just going to be that person that's super honest, that's going to be like, so Sarah, like I want to change a lot about the project and I really didn't like this. And you're like, well, I'm being honest, and a lot of people will appreciate that, but some people might get like offended or be like, oh my God, they said my project was horrible. But I feel like you hate disingenuousness and you hate dishonesty. So you would rather have someone be honest with you and be like, hey, I think your project sucks. And then you'd be like, why? And then you could like get out in the open. But, you know, someone who's not comfortable with honesty and might be a little bit living in a lie themselves might get triggered by this energy and might be like, oh my God, they were so rude to me or something. But I feel like, you know, there is a Plutonic, now that I'm looking at this transformation, you know, that's the energy of Pluto, is to come in and have a tower moment to people who need it and to rip away the fakeness and to reveal the truth. So people also assume that like you're the type who gets what they want. You're a go-getter. So like if you decided to date someone or you wanted to start a career or a business, that you would make it happen. I'm hearing that line from Ariana Grande where she says, I want it, I got it. And I also am hearing Get Up 10 by Cardi B. So I feel like a lot of you guys might have been through stuff, or people are just assuming you're that type where like, oh, don't come for pile three, because if you do, like they will come back 10 times harder. And I'm also hearing the quote, if you come for the queen, you better not miss. So I feel like people wouldn't come for you, or they wouldn't try to attack you unless they knew what they were doing and they'd like planned out every detail, because they're like, okay, if pile three survives this, like they're gonna come back and destroy me because they're so strong. So you might find some people have been kind of passive aggressive, and it's almost like the only way that someone can take you down is if they hide it from you and they're very sneaky about it, because you kind of have like king energy. And I almost feel like there's a vibe of, you know, the king and the sabotager, or like the king and the, you know, son, the prince who like grows up to like kill him and then take over the role of king. I know that's really dark, but I feel like you do inspire people sometimes to be like very sneaky around you, because they are so intimidated and afraid of facing you head on in a challenge. They know the only way they could defeat you is not like head on conflict, but stabbing you in the back. So let's get some more cards for pile three. What kind of assumptions do people make about them? What do people assume about pile three? So we got Angel of Love, the Temple Path, Community, and that was reversed, so it was Angel of Love, but I don't know. I'm gonna read them upright and see what comes through channeling. And then we got Fifth Chakra, Archangel Gabriel. Let's get one more. Door to Spirit. Okay, so I do feel like people also assume that with your loved ones, like you're super loyal, you're the kind of person that would literally do anything for your loved ones. So you might find that like if you have like a younger sibling or something at the same school as you, or if you have a partner who works at like the same business at you, that they would never mess with like your partner or your sibling in front of you. They would always wait until you're like out of the room. Or with your friends, like they would never mess with your friends in front of you, because they know you would come in and be like, what did you just say about them? get out of my face, you know, like you can be really intimidating when you want to be, and you're super loyal. It's giving strong Scorpio vibes. This is so Scorpio that they would like literally defend. If they do love you, you know, they're very picky, so they don't love everyone at all, to say the least. They really don't like a lot of people. But when you are the person they love, like they would fight tooth and nail, do anything. They're like the most intense and loyal sign in the zodiac, I would say, like bar none. They are all about the person they love, so intensely. And that's what I'm getting is like people know that you're kind of picky. You're not the kind of person who just is desperate to be accepted and like wants to hang out with anyone and just like, can I come to the party, guys, please? That's not your energy. But when you do find someone you vibe with, like you would do anything for them. And it's going to be a deep relationship. It's not going to be a surface level thing. You're not just, you know, trying to hang out just because you're kind of lonely and whatever. I'll just hang out with whoever. You're very selective, but then when someone is in your like inner crew, it's like that is your person and you would do whatever, give up whatever, do anything to protect them. So I feel like a lot of people are drawn to you because of that. And you know, it is giving Scorpio and Pluto, and there is such a magnetism around Plutonic people, Scorpionic people. So I don't know, you guys might have a Scorpio ascendant, you might have Pluto conjunct the ascendant or aspecting the ascendant, trine, I mean, any aspect, trine, sun, trine, opposition. I don't know why I said sun, conjunction, square. Or you might also have it aspecting the sun. Now that I said that, that could apply also Venus. But honestly, it comes through really strong with you. So I wouldn't be surprised if it aspects this ascendant somehow, where there is like this power and this intensity with you. And also I could see the Capricorn vibes coming through really strong too. But I feel like people, you know, there is this magnetism around Scorpio. There is this sexuality they give off and they do rule over sex. And because sex is like the deepest connective thing. So that's why they like connection so much. And that's why they are related to sex. And they love revealing truths. And when you have sex with someone, you see them at their most naked, literally and figuratively. So that's why they're all about that emotional raw honesty. And I feel like people kind of know with you, they would, on one hand, they're intimidated, but they're also very drawn to it. They're also like, oh my God, pile 3 is looking at me. But I kind of like it because they're really cute. And like I'd love to be on their protective side. Like there's this power and there's this, you know, because no one can have the same power and the spark and the intensity of a Scorpio, in my opinion. It's just so potent. And so yeah, like on one hand, people are scared, but they're also so drawn to you. Let's get some astrology dice for pile 3. Why are people intimidated by pile, or why did I say that? That's funny. It changed the reading for you guys. Honestly, that's just your vibe. People are so intimidated. What do people assume about pile 3? What do people assume about pile 3? Okay, let me spin this again. So we have Virgo and we have Taurus. That one just spun over to Cancer, but it was on Virgo. Then we have second house Taurus. Let's get one other dice. And then we have the moon. So we have so far Taurus, Cancer, and Virgo. So with Virgo, Virgo is an earth sign. All the earth signs are kind of plotting and plotting like PLODDING. So kind of like a slow and steady energy. But once they get their mind set on a goal, and Taurus is coming through as well, so 2 earth signs, nothing can stop them from it. You know, once they get their mind set on something, they will just slowly and methodically chip away at it until it happens. So it's a very intense energy, and it's a very goal-oriented energy, and it's often associated with success. Our signs are pentacle energy, so it's financial success, because that's a really great way to get financial success, right? Is to be very careful, slow and steady, go after your goal piece by piece, bit by bit, step by step. And a lot of people perceive this energy from you. Then we have the moon in Cancer, and Cancer energy is very protective, very caretaking. It looks after the people it really loves, the people in the inner circle. It is literally the mom of the zodiac. So I feel like that's the vibe you give off, is like you would give the shirt off your back if you do love someone, if you care about them. So a lot of people probably would want to be in that inner circle and get to see that side of you, and would feel like the people who get to be in that aspect of you are super, super lucky that they get to be that, you know, person receiving that. Like, have you ever seen a really great mom taking care of their kids? And, you know, even if you love your mom, there's some part of you that's like, oh my God, look at her. She's like putting them in the car and then handing out juice boxes, and that's so nice. You know what I mean? Like, can I be 3 years old again? And look, she's like handing them out like their own individual wrapped organic meals, and she's just so nice to them. Like, you know, there's something lovely about that mom energy that's so amazing and so iconic. And so I feel like you're that kind of like mom who would be like the mama bear, not necessarily the pushover mom, but like the tough mom, but the one that really does a great job raising the kids, and like that everyone is like, she's so awesome and don't mess with her kids because she will go after you if you do. But yeah, and also second house does relate to earned income, wealth, income that you earn yourself. So I do think also people assume you're very self-reliant, that you're very independent, that you're someone who will like take care of yourself, look after yourself, and just be very self-reliant. I can't think of another word for it, but yeah, you would take care of yourself. You might run your own businesses, you might make your own money, and that you might make a lot of money either already or that you're definitely destined to do that. So yeah, I think that is what I have for you guys. Pile 3, I really hope it resonated, you guys. Let me know if it did in the comments. I really love hearing from you guys, hearing your thoughts, opinions, and how it vibed with you and your energy. So definitely let me know, you guys. I love hearing your thoughts and opinions. And if you guys really liked it, make sure to hit the like button, give it a thumbs up if it resonated. Also, make sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on, hit the bell so you can find out as soon as I post. And if you guys would like to see more of my readings, then head on over to my Patreon, where I post all my additional readings. Once you sign up, you get access to about 50 additional readings about life, love, spirituality, career, relocation, 18+ readings, money readings, so many different topics to go through. But you will get access to all of them as soon as you sign up. I just posted one all about messages from your friends and family, what they think of you. So that was one you guys voted for in the poll, and you guys suggest topics over there and then we vote on them. So it's very interactive. So if you guys would like to see all the content over there, then head on over to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description and join me over on Patreon. And if you guys would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me. I may pull tarot for you, do your astrology, channel mediumship, or channel intuitively. You can get a year ahead reading, a love reading, money reading, career reading, whatever you want, really. You can ask the questions you want, obviously within reason, but it's pretty open-ended. So if you guys would like to get a private reading with me, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com. The link for that is in the description as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will see you guys very soon in another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey Pal 4, so if you guys picked this shrimp sushi, this is going to be your reading. They did so much detail on this shrimp. It literally looks so fresh, like you could just start eating it. They also have a lot of detail on the rice and on the tail. It looks really good. Anyways, guys, let's get into your cards. So you guys got the Moon, Knight of Swords, Ten of Swords, Five of Cups, Temperance, Ace of Swords, the Fool, and the Four of Cups. So what's coming through for you guys is, first of all, you seem highly intelligent. A lot of people, when they first meet you, also think you're very creative. You're giving off writer vibes to me. Like, I feel like a lot of people, when they meet you, they think you're someone who might have a lot of creative interests or be into like a certain subgenre or something, or like a certain fandom, or that you have some kind of creative hobby that you do. But a lot of people see you as someone who's kind of like lost in their head a lot. very much always imagining things or coming up with different scenarios, someone who might dream a lot, or just be someone who would be capable of doing all those things and could be smart enough and able to write a book or put something out there in the world. I feel like sometimes people might even get irritated by you because they might think that, like, oh, pile four thinks they're smarter than me, or pile four thinks they're smarter than everyone, or almost like pile four thinks they're too good for people. Some people might kind of think of you as a little standoffish because at first you might not be the friendliest, or maybe it's not that you're not friendly, but you're kind of lost in your own mind or lost in your head or thinking something over and kind of like not really wanting to engage with a random person that you don't really know because you're like puzzling over some really amazing story that you've written or some idea or theory, or you're thinking over some really cool YouTube video, a Briar Rose Tarot video. No, I'm just kidding. That you just watched, or some documentary that you saw, or something like that. So I feel like because of that, like, you're kind of always thinking on a very deep level and you're not really interested in talking to people about shallow stuff or shallow things. And sometimes people might be offended by that, or they might be like, oh, so I'm not good enough to talk to you? Oh, really? So you don't have time for me? But I feel like a lot of times people do understand that maybe it's even a self-protective thing, because some of you guys might be kind of sensitive souls on the inside, or you've had a lot of run-ins with nasty people, or you're just very protective of your energy. And I feel like people can tell that, like, the wheels are churning inside your mind. You know, it's not that the lights are off and nobody's home and you're just kind of staring off into space for no reason, that you're really thinking through a lot of things. And I feel like when you do have an opportunity to actually talk, like, you would definitely prove that. Like, you might in class have been known as like the quiet kid in the back of the classroom, but whenever you did speak or whenever the teacher did call on you, you would always say the most amazing, smartest things that showed you understood things super, super deep. So I feel like people are very intrigued with you because of that, because you might not be that person that's like super sociable, trying to talk to everyone and trying to schmooze everyone and trying to get to know everyone. You're kind of more a little bit insular, or you're someone that is a little bit more mysterious, you know, someone who honestly people might also assume you have a very interesting backstory. Like, you know, I'm thinking of like characters in books that's like the new mysterious guy in town, and when you talk to him, you realize he transferred schools 5 times and he's lived all over the country, and he has this like really intense history, and his dad does this really interesting job, and that's why he's changing school so much. And there's some kind of like curiosity that I feel like a lot of people have about you when they first meet you, but they definitely assume, they might even assume that you're quiet. Maybe that's not accurate, but they might assume you're quiet or you keep to yourself. But I feel like there is a level of intrigue here and people just being curious and really wanting to know more. They might even assume some of you guys like have struggled with depression or something like that. I'm not saying all of you guys, but there might be this assumption that I'm kind of getting like poet vibes, like someone who's like a poet on the left bank of the Seine in Paris, something like that, where I feel like you guys come off very smart, but also very different. You might kind of stick out like a sore thumb in your office or at your school or at your workplace or at your hometown. I mean, wherever you are, you might come off very different and kind of too smart for where you are. Like, especially if everyone acts a certain way or dresses the same way or has the same beliefs, you might be that kind of person that is the type to question or to ask, like, well, why do we believe this, or why do we have to do this, or why can't we do that, or why do we have to all act this way? And that might sometimes rub people the wrong way, or people might just see you as like very different and very questioning and even destined for something bigger outside of your small town or outside of your workplace or school, as just someone who kind of sticks out and doesn't fit in but wouldn't necessarily want to. Because I'm kind of getting like Aquarius vibes, the vibes of someone who is very different and unique and definitely marches to the beat of their own drum. And I feel like you guys would also be that person who's very interested in something new and fresh and always has new ideas. So you might be perceived as someone who's like an early adapter of technology, or someone who would be the first person to listen to a new cool band that no one else has heard of, or to be like, hey, by the way, that movie is really cool, that movie in theaters, and everyone else is like, what movie? I never even heard of that. Is that an art house film or what? But like, you're very on the tip of everything. You're very fresh and very like aware and kind of avant-garde. So I feel like you're also very different. Like, if someone was also a little different, or maybe came from a different culture, maybe, in certain places or vibes, people wouldn't be open to that person, or they might be like, oh, that's weird how they're dressing or whatever. And you meet that person who would be like, I think it's cool. I talked to them and we like hung out for like an hour after class the other day, and like they're really cool. And people are like, wow, why would you hang out with them? They're just a little weird. But there's something about you that I feel like is very open to that and very non-closed off. So to a certain extent, people do see you as like a trendsetter, although I feel like you would hate that term, or they perceive you as hating that term. They also might see you as literally a genius and someone who's always coming up with new ideas, or I'm hearing like Thomas Edison, Einstein, even like Tesla. So someone who's like really got that incredible Ace of Swords energy of being so smart and having genius visions, and just knowing things randomly and coming up with them. They might perceive you sometimes as even a bit lazy, or this might be coming from like your family or something. You might have had people in your life or your boss who's like, oh my gosh, you haven't done a thing, but it's almost like you were lost in thought. Like, I'm thinking of like, I feel like it's a archetypal thing where a lot of like writers or big dreamers, they get fired from their job where they were like packing boxes at a warehouse or something, because they were like dreaming and staring off into space and just kind of lost in their own world, but actually they were getting really intense downloads. And that's kind of like I was hearing someone say this, and they were like, they were talking about Pisces energy, but it could apply for here for sure. And there is Pisces energy coming through really strong. But where they said, if people who stare off into space, they don't need to learn to meditate. They're already doing it. And I think that's so true. So maybe you guys are, staring off into space, not because you're just nothing's going on, but because you're getting downloads, you're getting visions. And sometimes people might not know how to take that with you. They might sometimes be like, oh, okay, they're slacking off again. Oh, they're just staring at a wall. Wow, they don't even do anything. And so sometimes that might cause a little friction with you, where you're like, I am doing things, and maybe this is how I get my divine downloads, is like playing video games, or by watching a TV show or something like that, where people don't really understand the fullness of the extent of the process, and they might sometimes assume that you're like a layabout, or someone who just isn't a hard worker, or someone who is just like a time waster, or just yeah, not really doing anything. Sometimes people might even think you're delusional or something. But what they just showed me is like Belle's dad from Beauty and the Beast, how he's always coming up with those inventions and everyone thinks he's so weird. Like, I feel like that's also a vibe with the moon coming out. People might see you as very kooky, or even possibly a little crazy. A little bit could be delusional, like could be someone who like, oh, okay, yeah, well, according to them, they have an idea for an invention and it's going to be a bestseller. That's so stupid. But of course we know that actually a lot of times it's that person that seems weird and has this crazy idea that's going to be the most powerful, because those are the people that actually invent things that are different, new, and have the potential to disrupt the market, not the same thing that everyone else made. So it's inevitable when you're doing something new and fresh that people are going to be like, what is this? Huh? I don't get this, So I'm seeing Steve Jobs. So some of you guys give visionary vibes though. So some people might get it and some people might not get it and think that like, oh, please, this person's full of it, or they're not doing anything, or they're pretending to work. Oh yeah, they have a great idea for a business, I'm sure. But actually there is a lot of potential in it. And I feel like the people who get you will be like, wow, pile 4 has a lot of potential, and pile 4 is really smart and really deep and a really deep thinker. Let's get some more cards. So we got the Spirit Whisperer, Divine Guidance, Higher Knowing, the Desert Prince, Survival, False Promises, a High Lord of Gratitude and Service, Selflessness, Humility, Conscious Action, and the Hungry Ghost, obsessions, scarcity consciousness, and attachment. Some of you guys might develop kind of like obsessions about things. Like you might be someone that like you watch a movie you really like and then you suddenly are like, okay, I'm joining the fan club. I'm posting about it online on like Twitter or whatever, and I'm reading fan fiction and I'm like 100% in this. And you're just someone that like gets into something, or you like a video game and instead of just being like, yeah, that was a good game, you're like playing it nonstop 24/7. People might kind of see that side to you, that like there's an intensity there. Or I just feel like a lot of it is like your brain. Some people might assume you're ADHD, or you guys might be ADHD, but it's kind of giving like nutty professor vibes, or like tortured genius vibes, or someone who's really smart but might not fit into the societal paradigm of what people expect from workplace or school. So I feel like sometimes it might have rubbed people the wrong way. Like they might have been like almost resentful, like, oh, pile four doesn't even work. They barely even read the material. They never study, but they're always getting straight A's in class and it's not fair. Or, yeah, pile three doesn't work. They don't do anything in class and they're failing and they're an idiot, when actually it's because you're too smart for the school and you're too intelligent and you're thinking of a million different things in your own creative visions. Because think of how many like billionaires and entrepreneurs and successful people fail out of school. In fact, my friend who's a lawyer was telling me that what they say when you get into law school is that the B students become like good successful lawyers. Wait, what is it? The A students become like good successful lawyers. Wait, the B students, I'm completely messing up this quote, but the punchline is the C and D students become the partners. And that's because it's like they're not super studious. They're not like the just by the book people who can get by. But when you put them in front of a judge, or get them in front of a courtroom or a jury, or get them to like actually focus on like the task, a lot of times those B, C, D students that are like not taking it seriously, they'll be the ones with the like vision and the like chaotic like genius to figure out like, oh, let's make this argument. And so he told me that's a common phrase in law school. I wish I could remember the exact one. Maybe anyone who's been to law school, lawyers or legal assistants or whatever, could tell me in the comments the exact quote. But it makes sense to me because I was a legal assistant, and definitely my boss, who was the partner, was like super chaotic. His room was literally covered in like papers and legal documents. And I mean covered, like the floor was covered in paper and you had to walk over it to get to his desk. Not joking. So anyway, don't let people underestimate you. If they are underestimating you, that's their own failure, lack of vision. It has nothing to do with you, but sometimes people might assume that about you. Oh, like pile four is not that smart, or they're too chaotic, they're never going to accomplish anything, that kind of a thing. But I also feel like people can tell, yeah, you're giving kind of kooky Pisces vibes to me. And we do have the high Lord of gratitude and service, so they might see a spiritual side to you. And sometimes people might be like, can you take this more seriously? Like, can you stop goofing off, or can you actually pay attention in math class, and can you actually like focus on the test instead of daydreaming and staring out the window, but you're like communing with like some bumblebee that's flying around outside your window, and you just feel a connection, and you're getting downloads from spirit, and you're trancing out, and you're actually like thinking of things deeply. I'm thinking of a line from Lil Peep, who is a Pisces with a Cancer moon, and he's a Scorpio, the Pisces with a Cancer moon. But anyway, same vibe for this. And he says in the line, passing through a portal while you're sitting in your cubicle. And that's kind of the vibe as well. Like you guys might be in your cubicle, or you might be in your car or whatever, but you might be actually on a deep spiritual journey, actually on the astral plane, where you're not fully in your body. You're just getting other information. So sometimes you might be very forgetful. You might be the type to forget your keys, or like hate driving, or get kind of like lost while you're driving because you're like not paying attention. But yeah, I feel like people can see the potential and the depth in you. And like when you do actually open your mouth to talk, your perceptions of things are so much deeper and so much more intense and very accurate. Like you would be that person that like wouldn't say anything and someone would be like, oh, they're really quiet or they never talk or I don't think they have much to say. But when you do open your mouth, people are like, oh my God, how do they know that? And sometimes you might have even been like bullied because of this, because people, you're just so different and you're so unique. And sometimes people are going to be intimidated by this because I feel like sometimes it also gives you a quality that like is very dynamic and interesting and intriguing. And so you might have had a lot of people have crushes on you because they're like, this person is like otherworldly. They're so different. And sometimes people might get mad at you because they're like, why did they have a crush on pile four? Pile four is freaking weird. You know, pile four is not even doing anything. Why does pile four always pass the class and do well in class? And they're not even studying. You know what I mean? There's this kind of like resentment people have, I feel sometimes, because they just are like, how is pile four doing this? And why is pile four not sticking to the rules at all? And yet they get all this stuff. So let's get more cards. We got emotional baggage, crystal clear, in touch with your body, create and progress, and leap of faith. So emotional baggage, you know, like I was saying, that kind of comes through with the 10 of swords that we got. So sometimes people might feel like you are a sensitive soul and they might assume that you have been through pain or that you have been through hardship or that, like I was saying, you've been bullied or something like that. And there might be this kind of sensitive, interesting, vulnerable quality. I'm hearing that song by Selena Gomez, Vulnerable, which is such a great song. I love that song. Love it. But it's a great song for all our sad little water signs. But yeah, I'm hearing that song where she's like, I'll stay vulnerable. And she is a Cancer sun. So definitely the vibe here. Strong Cancer coming through. But I feel like there is a softness about you and there is a fragility to you that sometimes is very attractive, kind of like a beautiful Fabergé egg or a porcelain piece, a beautiful piece of porcelain that you're not kind of, I'm thinking of that quote that's like, don't let the world make you hard. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, you've kept your uniqueness. You haven't let people beat it out of you, or society or school beat it out of you. You've kept someone who's like marching to the beat of your own drums and different and not going to take the same perspective as someone else, and who's actually able to truly take an unpopular opinion, even though everyone likes to say like, oh, I don't go with the crowd, I make my own mind up. But like, no, most people do not. And you guys actually do. You guys actually really do your own thing. But again, this highly creative vibe you give off, like that's coming through so strong. People just see you as like a real creator, someone who they wouldn't be surprised if you guys published a book. They wouldn't be surprised if you were to write a masterpiece or paint a masterpiece or compose a song that's a masterpiece, or just do something so creative and so different, and them finding out that like 10 years later after you graduate from high school that you're a like, I don't know, that you like do crystal bowl work in Tibet and that's your job, and or you're like a glass blower, or you're something so unique and so different and something spiritual at heart. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people as well see you as someone who they might assume you meditate, they might assume you have a lot of spiritual practices, and I feel like you do come off almost like an alien. I'm also getting Aquarius vibes, like otherworldly vibes. And someone who they might assume you have like witchy rituals, like you do like full moon rituals or new moon rituals, or you do astrology or you do tarot or something like that. But I feel like a lot of people assume that you're not like a traditional type person. You wouldn't want to just live in the suburbs in like a cookie cutter house and a cookie cutter life and do everything the same. Like you might even have different hair or like very unique hair or something like that. But people can really, they assume that you're definitely doing your own thing. So let's get some more cards. Spirit, please tell me, what do people assume about pile 4? So we got the Magician and the Mirror. Wow. The thinking woman, yes, and envy. I'm telling you, it's very strong around you guys. Like, honestly, it's come through, I think, the strongest in this. It's interesting how people get so triggered by this energy, which is not trying to do anything bad, but I swear people get the most triggered by this energy. What's bringing to my mind is Jesus being crucified on a cross. Like, he wasn't doing anything, right? But the powers that be, the forces, could tell that his energy was that powerful, because non-resistant energy, Pisces, passive energy, is actually the most powerful. That's how, like, Gandhi also embodied that energy and used it against, like, the British Empire to end colonialism, in India. There's something about passivity and nonviolence and not fighting back and just doing your own thing that literally has the power to disrupt like nothing else. And I feel like there's something like that about you guys, that it's so funny. You bring out more envy than, like, almost anyone, even though you're minding your business and just in your, like, beautiful incandescent, like, dream world that I feel like you guys inhabit, just thinking and just doing things a little different, but there's something questioning and interesting. And I feel like just the fact that you don't accept the status quo makes people question themselves, and they don't like that. They just want to feel like they're doing things fine. And a lot of people, like I said, like to lie to themselves and say they're an iconoclast and I'm a renegade. I do things on my own. I don't make decisions based on the collective, and I make my own mind up. But it's like, no, lie detector test says no, that's not true. And a lot of you guys, kind of, your very presence calls out their bluff, because you're actually living things, doing your own thing, so people can see your spiritual power. It's very potent around you guys. Let's get some astrology dice, for pile 4. Can we get some astrology dice for pile 4 and what people assume about pile 4 spirits? So we got the first house, aka Aries. Then we got the North Node, and we have Sagittarius. Very interesting. And let's get this again, since it was a node. Oh my God, the node again. Come on. And this one's South Node. Can I get any other sign? Okay, we got Mercury, and that's perfect for you guys. So far the energies, Aries, Sagittarius, and then Mercury rules over Gemini and Virgo. So definitely that strong mercurial energy of someone who's highly intelligent, very smart, very questioning, very creatively minded, and someone who thinks very deeply about things and knows a lot of different subjects, and would be someone who just would be always learning, always curious, always open, wouldn't just take things as they are, but would ask questions and want to know more. You might have asked a lot of questions as a kid growing up, or just been very curious about things. Maybe your favorite things to watch are like documentaries and informative type of entertainment. But I feel like, yeah, you come across very strongly with that mercurial intelligence and restless curiosity that Mercury has. Then we also have Sagittarius, which is kind of a similar energy in the sense that it's coming through with me, with Sagittarius being the archer and the arrow of someone who's always got a new idea, and also Mercury being ruled by Jupiter, which is literally the planet of philosophy and relates to the 9th house of higher learning and college and education. So you come across that energy, and you comes across really strong as someone who might be highly educated or very intelligent, or someone who people might assume you come from a long line of people who are very educated, or that you had really smart parents who would like talk to you at the dinner table about current events and politics and whatnot. But you just seem very well spoken, highly educated, big vocabulary, that kind of a thing. And then we have the first house, Aries, and Aries energy is all about the self. It is about me, and I feel like, again, there's a vibe around you where you march to the beat of your own drum, and you're very uncompromising with that. You're not willing to sacrifice anything to go along with the crowd, to make anyone else happy. You're truly going to do your own thing, and you're truly going to do what you think is right, no matter what anyone else says. And so because of that, I think, again, sometimes that really triggers people. Sometimes people really get offended by the fact that you're not a crowd follower. Everyone says they love that in theory, but like I was saying, the reality is they do not, and you're someone who truly does things your own way, very different. And so I think people are very kind of have mixed reactions to you. It's super interesting, pile 4. I wasn't expecting this to come through so like deep and complex, but I feel like that's your energy for sure. So yeah, I can see why people assume a lot about you and are very kind of fixated on you guys. There's a lot to unpack with you and it's very intriguing. So anyways, guys, I really hope it resonated. Let me know if it did in the comments. I really love hearing from you guys, hearing your thoughts and opinions and reactions. So please let me know what you think. Also make sure to hit the thumbs up button, give it a like if it did resonate for you, and make sure to subscribe and turn those notifications on so you can find out as soon as I post. Hit the little bell. And if you guys would like to see more of my readings, then head on over to my Patreon where I post all my additional readings, about 50 additional readings. You get access to all of them as soon as you sign up. So there's readings about life, love, spirituality, career, relocation, money, 18 plus readings. And you guys also suggest new readings and then we vote on those, and those are the readings we do. So the one I just filmed is all about what your family and friends think of you and getting messages from family or friends. So that's a good one to watch. That was the one you guys voted second runner up. But we do new polls all the time and new content goes up all the time. And like I said, as soon as you sign up, you get access to all of it. So I hope you guys will join us over at Patreon, join our little party over there. And the link for that is underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description as well. And if you guys would like to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can also get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a half hour or a full hour-long session with me. Have me pull tarot for you, channel intuitively, channel mediumship, or do your astrology, or do a little bit of a mix. You can have me do a year ahead reading for you, a career reading, love reading, just general open channeling or energy check-in, or a mixture of all of them. You get to choose which questions you ask and within reason, but I'm pretty open-ended with that. So yeah, you get to really choose how the reading goes. So if you'd like to get a reading with me, then head to my website, briarrosetarot.com, and sign up for a session with me. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will be back very soon for another reading. Take care, guys, and I'll see you then. Bye.